So brains work against us at the best of times, but right now in this crazy world that we're in, there's a lot of bias going around and there's a lot of brains making really, really bad decisions. So what are biases? Well, biases are little corruption errors that we make when we're thinking and when we're having to make decisions. And right now we're experiencing a lot of different biases. So both your brain and your consumers' brains are experiencing biases, and we can group these corruption errors into 4 different areas. We know that when we need to remember some information, when we need to make a decision really quickly, when we have a lot of information to act on, and when there's not enough meaning around the information that we need to act on, that we're going to have some kind of corruption error. So anytime you're experiencing that or your audience is experiencing that, you're pretty much going to come up against 1 or 2 biases. And that might mean that you make the wrong decision rather than making a decision that would be better for you in the long run. So as businesses, what we want to do is we want to make sure that our consumers are making the right decisions. And you can help your consumers make the right decisions if you're keeping an eye out for bias. Because during this time period of high anxiety, because our brains are running on all of the stress and anxiety, in all of this uncertainty, that means that we're bound to be making some bad decisions because our survival brains will be causing quite a lot of bias. So here's a little test that you can do with yourself to know whether or not your audience is going to be experiencing bias right now. So if they need to make a decision where an incentive is involved, so if they need to make a decision where they might get something really nice, an immediate reward, then we're quite likely to make a biased decision because we'll always go for pleasure first and deal with the costs later. You might also experience bias if it's a really hard decision that needs to be made. So if it's a really difficult choice that consumer or you need to make, then our brains like to trick us. They like to switch out an easier decision for a harder decision and we don't make the right decision as a result. And then another time that we might encounter this bias is when we don't have to make the decision frequently. So if it's not something that the brain has ever encountered before, or if it's not a choice that we have to make all of the time, then chances are we're going to go for something that might not be the right choice. And of course, the biggest one is when we have little understanding of the consequences of our choice, we're going to just make a choice that seems right now, but we won't logically work through all of the answers. So if your audience is experiencing anything in any of those 4 areas, they're going to be having a lot of bias. And that means that you need to help them make the right choices. And we can do that. And the things that we can do are actually quite simple because there's only 3 simple things that you need to do. The first thing you need to do is you need to provide tangibility. The second is you need to provide immediacy. And the third is that you need to provide certainty. If you can do tangibility, immediacy, and certainty, then all you're doing is you're helping a brain make a more logical decision that they're going to be happier with in the long run. And that's what we want for our customers with our products and services. So how do you get tangibility? Well, in tangibility, you want to make the intangible tangible. So you want to give people context and meaning. If you can give context and meaning, you can influence how that decision is made. On to immediacy, if you can give somebody something that they can do straight away, an action that they can have straight away will always help somebody make a better decision in the longer run. And then finally, certainty. You can give some reassurance, you can give that context, you can give that immediacy, you can tick all of those boxes, and you're going to help people make a better decision that's a little bit more logical than the decision that they would have made previously. So you're going to be going through bias, your consumers are going to be going through bias. But if we can look at situations and go, okay, customers are definitely going to have a bias right here, so we can affect it by providing tangibility, immediacy, or certainty, then we know that we're helping. So what I'd love to know from you is, do you have situations in which you know that bias is going to be coming about? And what are you going to do about them as a result? I'd love for you to chuck those down in the comments below, because people really need a little bit of action. And if we're all sharing a little bit about what's going on, then maybe we'll spur one another onto action and we can inspire one another about the way that we're talking about things. So chuck some stuff down in the comments below. What do you think your audience is having difficulty making decisions with right now? And how could you be working towards helping them get that tangibility, that immediacy, and that certainty? How can you craft your messaging and your marketing and your information to help them make the right decision at this point in time? Now, We have always offered marketing therapy sessions around this kind of stuff anyway, but I think it's more important now than ever. They are free sessions for you guys to talk about this kind of stuff, pick our brains, and we've made more capacity so that during this time period we can help businesses who might not be able to take our services on board. So take us up on that, or you can DM me, send me a direct message. Always happy to chat to you guys. So if you have any questions and you don't feel like putting them in the comments below, then just send me a personal message as well. We've also put together some resource pages that has loads of downloads and videos and action plans and webinars and you name it, all on those pages. Well, there's a link down below. But I'd love to see you guys starting conversations about how you can help your consumers make better decisions in this time period. So stay safe out there and keep your business thriving.